Hello everyone and welcome to the 29th Sunday in Ordinary Time. And the overall theme with these readings, I think, is perseverance in prayer. So in the first reading we have Moses, and they're going against the king Amalek. And what's happening is Moses has to keep his hands up. And this is a position of prayer. We call it the Oran's position, right? And the priests are doing this during the Mass too. So this is, I do mine a little conservatively, but the Oran's position. And it seems that when his hands are kept up, Israel has the better of the battle. But when he puts his hands down, then the enemy has the better part of the battle. And so sooner or later, Moses needs some help keeping his hands up so that way Israel can succeed in battle. And you may like, no, that's kind of a weird story. What's going on there? Well, it fits really well with the gospel, because the gospel is Jesus's parable about perseverance in asking, right? And that's part of prayer, is asking for something, petition. And we have this judge who's not righteous. It's made very specific in that the judge doesn't really care about justice or anything like that. Nonetheless, Jesus says that this woman who is constantly wanting her case to be judged will not leave the judge alone. And sooner or later, the judge who is not righteous or just says, look, I don't fear God, I don't fear man, but you know what? I'm just going to render this particular lady judgment because she just keeps on my case. What's the connection there? With the prayer, the Oran's position, of this symbol of prayer, if we go to Jesus and we ask for something once and then we get disappointed when we don't get it, that's not the nature of prayer in the first place, okay? It's not magic, all right? What it is it's a relationship with God. Secondly, when we don't get what we want right away, it increases the desire of the heart, okay? And this goes along with what we've been talking about the last couple of weeks about kind of this consumerism that we have, is like we don't really have deep desires because everything that we want, we can just put on a piece of plastic, right? You might not be able to afford it, but you just put it on there. And we're so used to instantly getting everything. And what we talked about last week is we have these holes in our hearts that can only be filled with God, right? And so we receive God slowly, and we receive the deepest desires of our heart slowly, so that desire can increase. If God gave us everything right when we wanted it, then we wouldn't have this gratitude, and we wouldn't have these deep desires in our hearts. And that's just a couple of the reasons why God doesn't give us what we want all the time. I mean, other reasons is it's just not good for us. Sometimes we don't know what's best for us, and so we ask. And then sometimes it's just hard to hear that something that we're asking for is not for us, because it could be perfectly good thing, but it's not the best and according to God's plan. But either way, we have to persevere in prayer. Okay, and this idea of constantly petition, of constantly staying in relationship with God, of keeping our hands up in prayer constantly, is this perseverance to keep doing it. We're always going to, sooner or later, if you're praying, you're going to experience dryness. You're going to experience this feeling that God's not listening to you. That's normal. And so many people take it to think that that's not normal. There's something wrong with them, and so they ditch prayer. They ditch church, they ditch God, because he no longer listens to me. I must have done something so terrible. The prayer life goes like this, right? There's consolation and desolation. All right, so we need to realize that we need to persevere whether we're in desolation or in consolation. In a relationship, you keep up communication. Otherwise, the relationship is not going to go well. It might even end. So as we approach the table of the Lord today and we receive Jesus, let us ask Jesus for this gift of perseverance to be in relationship and prayer with the Father through him and the Holy Spirit, so that one day we may see him in heaven face to face.